on the interwebs.
Oh, yeah, it popped up. Meeting is now live streaming on Facebook. Ah!
Okay. Right. Well, mine says it's still processing. So, of course, I'm going to look like a dork talking about it's still processing. All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Yeah. Happy Tuesday.
Now, right?
Welcome to Branch of Laurels. I'm a Laurel from Ontier, and this is a show where I interview other Laurels from around the known world. And tonight I have Vicaria Vesta, who is a Laurel and a Viscountess from the Principality of the Summits in Ontier. Yay!
Summits.
So I usually have, tell us your origin story, please.
Well, persona or anyway.
How did you find the SCA and what kept you interested in it?
Well, I stumbled across the SCA sort of sideways because I was actually an amped guard when I was up in Portland. I know, right? Eyebrows always go up on that one.
I had no idea. That's awesome.
And my first event, technically, was the last Kriegsdriver. I went with some amped guard friends, and we wandered around, and I saw Titus in his full kit and thought, that's cool. And then it was about 3 years later when I got a job in Selma, Oregon, working for I know, right? African-American, politically conservative, conservatively Christian, male point of view magazine.
Wow, that's a lot.
The editor had a personal friend in Clarence Thomas.
Whoa.
It was very fascinating.
So how long did that job last? You don't have to answer that.
About a year and a half, and then the magazine went under and I was laid off. And then I got got into my current company about 5 jobs ago, but the same company. So the employer.
That's awesome. So you were already doing Amped Guard. Were you, it's not called boffer, foam fighting. Were you foam fighting in Amped Guard?
Yep. I was very bad at it. And it really threw me off when I about the second year into working for the employer, I discovered the SCA down here, and it was in Caverns Gate, which is now defunct, but Cave Junction, Oregon. And I went to one meeting, and the folks there went, "Hi," and turned to talk to each other for the whole meeting.
Oh,
I know, right? And so I have always remembered this. So I try to talk to people when they're new. And I remember sitting there all by myself feeling really out of place. Oh. It was awkward, and I hate being awkward. And so I didn't come back. And then I bumped into one of the people at the meeting, Ron Hawkwood, late of lamented memory. Mm-hmm. And at the grocery store in Cave Junction, and there's only 3 things to do in Cave Junction is go to church, go to the bar, go to the meth lab, or you go to the grocery store because that's the only social part you've got. And he said, "You were at the meeting. If you come to my house, my wife will teach you how to sew. I'll teach you how to make armor. You talked about wanting to bleed in armor." And so it's like, I have nothing else to do. So I did. And that's how I joined the SCA.
Awesome. Awesome. So what year was that?
96, 97.
Oh, wow. See, for some reason, I thought you had been playing a lot longer than I had.
No, it was 96 because I started the same year that the Summits did.
Wow. Wow. So that was your first mentor. Who, what kept you going? And how did you get into your next set of mentors?
Well, the first thing that happened was I fell in, well, I was wandering around a campsite all by myself because I didn't know people. And I stumbled into this really nice encampment, and these two really well-dressed ladies chatting around the campfire. They're wearing, you know, at the point I didn't know it was Elizabethan, but really fancy dresses. And I'm in there in my, you know, my pajama pants and my cotton tea tunic and my like cheap costume cloak. And like, oh hi, I've never met you before. You look cool. Why don't you sit down here? Like, your dress is really nice. And like, oh, it's really exciting because I made this myself. It was Megan and Firga.
I was gonna say, sounds like Megan and Firga.
And they're like, it's like, that's really cool. And so, yeah, I discovered Adiantum. And about 3 years late, 4 years, 3 years later, 4 years later, I went for sergeant. And that gave me, I was Marion Starveld's last sergeant. And that gave me access to the whole barony. It was all mine. I was a sergeant, therefore I was theirs and they were mine. And also Ambrose and his entire household, and, you know, people he was connected to, which is how I met Dublin and Finn, then Finnegan, but now Finn Skeggison, and the rest of the Varangian Guard and Kate and all those shenanigans. And then sergeantry got me connected to other things, and it just sort of, you know, layer on top of a layer, on like baklava, you know, just more and more people. So started in Adiantum and just sort of expand the mundo from there.
And during this time you were fighting, yes?
I'm a stick jock. No,
Yeah.
seriously, I was a stick jock because it was it was like I should make clothes. So originally someone told me when I started, you can't do Roman. That's before us. We're 400 to 1600. I'm like, okay, fine. So I'll be a 13th century German because I have history, blah, 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 blah. And then I looked at the clothes and went, fuck that. I'm sorry. I have a total potty mouth. I'm so sorry.
Okay, we fully embrace the potty mouth on this channel. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, we drop the bombs.
All children, cover your ears. And I'm like, no, I'm doing Roman. I don't care. 2 pins, a belt. I'm done with clothes. I done with clothes. And now I sew my new one because I don't know. But, and I was like, okay. And then, okay, I found this armor and that's amazing. And, oh, well, I got my shaped breastplate from someone who was going through a really bad divorce and made it for his wife. And he needed the cash and I needed the armor, and I loved the armor. And so I ate a lot of ramen for about 2 months and I had this armor. So totally worth it. Totally worth it. Yeah, and I fought, and I did, you know, I did some art stuff because sergeants do art stuff as well as fight. And I did service stuff because sergeants do servants as well as fight. And, you know, I did all these other things because sergeants do. Right. And
it was all related to your fighting path.
Right. You know, and it was all being, I mean, I was a sergeant for, gosh, 6 years before I was a squire, maybe 7. When I realized that personally I needed to give my belt back at the laurelling ceremony, it was very hard. But I couldn't do all those things. I had to put something down, you know? And but I was a sergeant for 20 years and I wouldn't give that up for anything.
That's a long time.
It changed my life. I mean, that's where I met my knight, so I mean. And my grand knight.
You haven't said who your knight is.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Viscount Sir Ambrosius Mavrotakis. So.
Who also happened to be the Baron when you did your
Yes,
first
yes.
sergeantry.
He was the Baron, and he was actually the marshal who did my authorization fight, although I didn't realize that a couple of years later.
So he was there with you from the beginning.
Pretty much.
That's
I mean, the first person to teach me to swing a stick was a combination of Ron Hawkwood, Sir Lawrence of the Marsh, and William Jeffrey the Rogue. Sir William Jeffrey. And the three of them were like the sort of little enclave of, oh, she's so cute. Look at her armor. She hits. Oh, it's so cute. And the first couple of years that was acceptable, but then other people started calling me cute, and I didn't accept that.
No. And then you just got ferocious.
Then I started pushing people out of the home gang, and they started taking me seriously. I got a lower center of gravity than you do, boy.
So you got discouraged from doing a Roman persona, but you kind of went with it anyway.
I'm stubborn.
And then you went even more ancient. How did that come about?
Well, in 99, Adiantum did their first 12th night. In my experience, they did their first 12th night, and they had a masked ball. And it's like, oh, I want to do something big and different and different and big and just a thing I wanted to do, and thought, I don't know why. I don't remember anymore. It's like learning to read. I don't remember. It's been so long. I've just been able to do it. I've been obsessed with the Minoan so long. I don't even know when or how or why I started. And so I made my first Minoan, which was the wool one, which is it's totally wrong. It's so wrong. It's so wrong. It's all wrong. The hair has the pearls in it, and that's wrong because it's based on a recreated fresco. That's wrong. And
do you want me to pull up some pictures?
Yes, please. It's the blue one.
Oh no, it didn't come through. Okay, hold on. This might take me a second.
But yeah, I made it out of the. Well, I was. So at the time, I'm living in Cave Junction when I made this, and wonder of all wonders, we had a Pendleton wool outlet in Cave Junction, but there was no way to find linen, so I could get plenty of wool, and so I did. I still have some of that wool, actually. And I was reading Elizabeth Barber's 20,000 Years of Women's Work.
I still don't have a copy of that book. I love that book.
What?
I know.
The hell, woman.
I know.
Back it up. It was the one previous to that.
Okay.
You remember.
Back still?
No, keep going. It was the blue one. That one. That's
okay.
That's the one. So that puppy is all wrong. I went like a tour of like random. Okay, first of all, the material's wrong. The cut is wrong. The patterns are based off of Barber's really bad line drawings because she couldn't get authorization to actually print the frescoes as a photo.
Oh.
The white on blue grid is wrong. The actual fresco it comes from, it's a brown on brown grid. The light colored brown one with the diamond on it, completely wrong. The white one with the red and blue, that's based on Egyptian fresco. That's like about 100 years later, from more of the Mycenaean era. And the bottom one, it has no fresco relevance at all. I used the running spiral that showed up on pottery.
Because it looked cool.
I had the purple wool and I had the yellow yarn. And that's all yarn embroidery, which is why it's so unbalanced and awful. I mean,
I have to stop you right there because this display, I was at that 12th night, and this display was when I first fell in love with you and your work.
Aww.
Because I was like, oh my God, someone's doing something else that's ancient and it's awesome. And I was just fascinated and hooked. And so I've been following your journey ever since. And so that's enough about me. But I just want to tell you that.
Well, thank you.
So should we continue looking through stuff?
Blatantly.
Okay.
So the one down there, the center picture, the two goddesses.
Mm-hmm.
So the one on the far right on the screen, the white ivory one, she's a forgery. Almost everyone's pretty sure that all the ivory ones are forgeries. Yep.
Interesting.
That the guys who were doing the restoration for the excavator, so Evans was the excavator, and then there's the father-son team that were doing the restorations, and they're pretty sure that the ivory goddesses came out of those guys' workshop. I'm going to maul the name because it's French. Guérin, père and fille, father and son. And they're pretty sure that was a fundraiser they were doing to make money off the fact that everybody wanted a piece.
A fundraiser.
As in, restoration art for archaeology doesn't pay well, so we need a little cash.
Wow.
But the two in the center, Evans himself found in what he romantically called the Temple Repository, but it seemed to be he has some bizarre, this man was a weird man, but he had some bizarre romantic Victorian-esque names for things, but it seemed to be a deposit of where they would take temple objects and ritually break them and then deposit them, as other cultures would do.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the snake goddess with the snakes up, I call her the bitch, because everyone who does Minoan has to face her at some point and deal with every part of her iconography. So the cat on her hat is an addition because he thought it looked appropriate.
Oh, interesting.
The only one of her arms existed. The other one is just a duplicate.
Oh.
She was snapped off at the waist, and her head was also broken off. So she's got long straight hair in the back. So, that it was her actual head seemed to make sense. It lines up with the hair. But the cat on the hat, nope.
But the snakes up, tits out thing is legit.
The snakes up, well, the snakes part of it is legit. And we think the up part, the snakes up part, the tits out is part of the problem. Yes. And I don't know if you can tell it, but in the larger pictures, when you see her online, it's like that statue of the Bremerton musicians actually in Bremen, where people have been rubbing the donkey's ass for 200 years. So it's got a shiny bronze ass. It's like somebody went and like cleaned her boobs off so they shine really white and left the rest of her dingy. It's like clearly it was cleaned by boys. But having to deal with her is my Laureling gown is modeled after that. That was my whole exploration of exactly what she is all about.
We've got pictures of her too, of you in that outfit too. So I'm gonna just kind of go through these and stop and talk as you want to.
So these frescoes that you see are probably my big five. So there's a little island modeling called Santorini, but when they're talking about the Minoan era, they call it Thera. And it was apparently this beautiful island. And these days it's just a ring, half ring of an island, a little fragment up here, and then this, smoking volcanic cone in the middle. That randomly will, spew forward some more lava and then, go back to just smoking at you. But there's a little town there that they excavated underneath the modern town of Akrotiri, and they also call it Akrotiri, the ancient town. And there's this huge covered area where they've got, the town protected, so they're doing excavations there. And they find frescoes half intact and half fragmented on the ground. And all of the frescoes I show here, that I included in here, are from Akrotiri, because first of all, it ends up with a very hard end date. Everything got buried in pumice, so nobody's coming around to repaint them. And Knossos is really problematic because Evans went and mucked around with it and decided to rearrange things because he liked them better. And then before him, there were people looting the stones, and before him, the ancient Greeks, made their myths up about it, and before them, the Mycenaeans came in and repainted over things, and there were multiple levels of palaces, and Akrotiri is more of a trade town,
Mm-hmm.
and the excavator of Akrotiri wasn't into the whole restoration of the frescoes. He just had them assembled and put into their context, or have their context identified. We have plenty of theories about what they mean, but there was far less of an imposition of vision down upon the excavations. And so I find them far less problematic.
Interesting. So they're represented as they were found rather than through any archaeological lens.
I'm sure there is an archaeological lens, but it's not as obvious to me because it's an excavation of my time. I'm sure in 100 years, someone's going to look back and go, oh my God, those people had such blinders on. But right now, I mean, most of those images came from this book that I love. This is a fine, fine book. If you want to do Minoan,
that is the book.
That is the book, because they took high resolution pictures of all of the extant frescoes, and then to the point where they have like one page is the top half of the fresco, and the next page is the bottom half of the fresco. You can really see detail.
Wow.
They're really high res. So this is from my second version of Minoan, where I made a whole new set of mistakes. I threw away most of what I learned. Most of what I did for the first Minoan, the wool one. The material seemed to be wrong. That's the third one, and that was just for step down, summit step investiture of our heirs, and I just wanted something that was now for something completely different, and yeah, jaws dropped, which was kind of the goal.
Kind of helped you switch gears.
Yes, it was very different. So me and Fighty, yes. Oh, the old cow shield.
I really stalked your Facebook page today. So here's a good picture of.
Yes, excellent. Yes, that's the first three. So the wool one on the far left, as you look at the screen, people know what culture it is just by looking at it, but it's so wrong in so many ways. I was personally uncomfortable with not having an undergarment. So I documented because I wanted to document a chemise, and therefore I found support from Barber that said there's a chemise, and so I made a chemise and I wore one underneath that. I think that she was wrong, and she's come around that she thinks she's wrong. So, I mean, there's that. Woohoo! The second one I made for a subsequent 12th night, and then they didn't have the costuming contest, which is what I made the first one for. And it's like, I want to come in with my second one and then like talk about the differences. And they're like, we're not having a contest this time. It's like, I know. I was very sad. And so that was where I explored not the two-piece, top and bottom dress, not the shirt with skirt that Barber advocated, but the long dress with the wrap skirt. And it was where I was starting to think about weaving technologies, but I hadn't talked to enough people and I hadn't done enough research to understand that there was more than what the ancient Greeks thought was possible. That everything was a square and everything was flat and nothing was shaped and nobody cut fabric. Everyone just pinned and draped, and so they're very plain rectangles. And you can see the longer blue skirt. I didn't realize how big my butt had gotten, and so I mismeasured the blue linen, so it doesn't come around as far as it should. But I'm getting closer to getting my patterns
dialed in.
dialed in and made more particular. Here I dropped all the designs from Egypt and just focused on designs from Knossos and Akrotiri. And then in the third one, I kind of cheated because the yellow wrap skirt at the short one is actually a piece of fabric I was given. It has a sort of Mycenaean horse print on it. It's from the 70s, but it was a present, and I had like 2 weeks to make it, and
And you were raining.
And I was raining. So, and we had cut our rain a week, 2 weeks short, so that our heirs, rather than being invested, could actually go to 50-year if they wanted to. Because that was the same weekend as Summit's investiture. So we yanked our reign a little bit shorter so that they could be invested and they could go. So I had less time than I had originally planned.
Right. Well, you did good in a crunch.
Thanks. That's actually the one that I think fits the best out of the first 3.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of your reign.
Oh, you didn't put the one where I was sticking my tongue out. That's like the better shot.
Oh, sorry.
I look all respectable. How is anyone going to recognize me, honestly? It was like 102, 101. Ugh. And that Sartor fabric is gorgeous, but it's half plastic.
Yikes.
And the linen underdress was wonderful, but I was actually swaying back and forth. And like, they told me in Elizabethan, if I do this, it'll get a draft up my skirts. It's not working as well as they said.
Oh.
It's like, my thighs are sweating. It's terrible.
But you look pretty.
But it's a gorgeous dress. I was actually really afraid to wear it for a while afterwards and like, what if I ruined it? I was giving Alan his AOA.
Oh.
I know, right?
So what was your favorite part of reigning? You reigned as Princess of the Summits.
Mm-hmm. Part of it is the awards, but Summits was so weird when you've got a shiny in your head. Part of it was the awards. I love court as a royal because it's much less fun when you're not a royal, for my opinion, because half the time you can't hear what the fuck is going on, and you can't see people's faces, which I loved, and just the magic of having them come up and be like,
me?
Like, yes, you are amazing. You are absolutely phenomenal. And this is for you. And we didn't pick it out. Somebody wrote in. Somebody else noticed that you're amazing. We just agree. But the nice thing is as a shiny hat, of whatever flavor, you can do that outside of court too. And it's people are almost and sometimes more dazzled when you do it outside of a court recognition. They're like, it's like, yeah, you're amazing, and I don't even need to go to court to announce it. I just give you a shiny, and if you're a hugger, I'm gonna hug you. If you're not a hugger, elbow bumps. I don't know. But I do tend to sort of glomp on people. I've learned to ask, though. Consent is cool. But it was a very difficult journey for me.
I feel that. So this was you, and I don't even know who most of these people are at Ursulmus. This is not an Ursulmus I got to go to.
I think the folks with, I have no idea who the folks with the fur are, honestly.
Cool. Ursulmus is attracting royals from all over the place now, which is kind of exciting.
The fellow in the purple coat was visiting from Caid, I believe, and asked for pictures with all the other royals there.
Ah.
And so we all stood up and had our pictures taken with him because he wanted to post it on his Instagram or whatever.
Well, okay. I love this picture.
Lindis and I both look terrified of each other. awesome.
I love both these ladies, so it makes me happy to see you guys making funny faces at each other.
I think I was even sober, which is disturbing. Oh, yes. God, that was an amazing event. I freaking love that event. Oh, I love, 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 love that event. Oh, I love competitions. I just love competitions, and that's the best one of all.
So this was Kingdom A&S.
Yes.
And here's the book that you held up earlier.
Yes. Those are my books of lust. Yes, indeed.
And this is your Minoan display. And I think there are some more pictures of it. Oh, I gotta press play. Aha. What's this?
Yes, that's a Minoan dress. That was at that time my latest version, exploring my latest understanding of the structure. The stamping was done by Maria Kargashina. And that's the pattern is too big to actually replicate, but it does give a sense of the patterning and style that was going on. It's also the only Gnosis thing that's in that outfit. The rest is all acrotery. But it's exploring a whole bunch of theories I had, talking, not just the book research, but talking to a couple of folks who weave. When I was working on this, I actually cornered Kalja at an event. She was not sober. I'm like, I need to talk to you about weaving stuff. And she's all, okay. And it's like, so I'm reading this book, and she's like, this is a really good source. I'm like, okay. So I have some weaving questions. I know she was so encouraging, but funny.
Always is.
But so I'm trying to pick her brains, and she's floating off with Inga randomly. But I talked to her. I talked to Marion. I talked to some other folks who weave. I hadn't learned who Madrun was yet, so I couldn't talk to her. The trim is the blue and white trim is by Drifa. I actually won a silent auction or an online auction or something, and so she wove that for me.
Awesome.
Yay! And but it explores the odd curves that are in the patterning of Minoan dress, including, interestingly enough, the sort of double axe shape that the skirting actually is. Because in the frescoes, we see these sort of curved, dropped points
right
going on, and you can't really tell in the way I'm wearing it, but the skirt itself has it looks like a double-headed axe. So it's straight on the sides, but it curves in at the top and the bottom. And when you're a pear shape, it hangs beautifully on your body.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, that's designed for big butts, and it cannot lie.
One of the interesting things one of the things I find interesting about how you approach this is that you don't consider yourself a costumer. You consider yourself more of
research nerd.
Yeah, and an experimental kind of archaeologist.
Yes.
And I think that's really cool.
There's something I learned at my mundane job is in theory, there is no difference between theory and practice. In practice, however, and so, yeah, I make these because I can't know if the theory is right until I make it. And then I put it on and it's wrong, or it's right, or it's better.
And you're constantly retesting stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes, look, I'm costuming through the ages there, and they're all they're in chronological order, and I'm wearing the latest one at that time. And then next to the third Minoan, the plain, the least colorful one is the Sumerian, and then after that is the Vestal Virgin. So it's like I did a little tour of Bronze Age Europe. It was great.
And I love that you do wigs too. I think that's really awesome.
I think it's really important. It's a great day. Yeah, I think the hair, because hairstyle is so important, it really gives you a sense of place and time. And I think that, And it's strange because, in the SCA, I hardly ever wear my hair properly or cover my hair like, some demure proper woman. So whatever. But that's Summit's Coronet, where Maria and I were both put on vigil.
I love how happy you guys look. I spent my morning putting this set of photos together and then putting Alfred's set of photos together for tomorrow night. And this was when I started crying. Because the joy is just palpable. And I miss that.
Mm.
And here you are getting placed on vigil.
Yeah. And there's
that guy's king again.
Oh, there, yeah. So that was a very, because he had me stand up, and then he addressed the populace while I'm standing there, and then when he called the Laurels up, there was this roar from the populace, and it was just this wall of sound that just came at me, and
because we love you.
thank you. It was very humbling and very moving, and I did not anticipate that.
Aww. Look at you.
Summit's Coronet. And there's the shield Rifkin painted for me. Isn't it pretty?
So pretty.
Yeah, my kid is slowly getting prettier. There we are. Oh my God, it was so cold. You can see pictures of me walking away after that, and I have head beams like you would not believe. Uh-huh. Holy crap, it was cold. They're
majestic. So majestic.
That wig, oh my God. So I had to find the local wig shop and had to go in there because I was given that wig, but it got really matted and unkempt, and it was like, oh my God, how do I maintain this? And she's all, okay, here's some specific shampoo and specific, it's for wigs, it's for unnatural fibers, and here's a comb, you're gonna need this, and this is what you do for curly wigs. Okay.
Now you're an expert in that.
At least on that one. Don't ask me about blondes. Yeah, the Grail. The Grail. I had to swear on the Grail. Aww. I did get some shit about that, but I didn't care.
So you got put on vigil by Christian and Helene, and then you got elevated by Kjartan and Shea.
My the Wednesday before Coronet, my sister's middle son was moved from chemo into hospice.
Oh, Jesus.
And so it was like, no.
Yeah.
No. No.
Well, that's understandable to want to change that.
So, and it was originally planned that she would be able to come, but then she had some family issues and couldn't come in May, so.
There's another happy picture.
Yeah.
So this is Marion.
Yep, and that's Raven.
And this is Raven. She's one of my idols. She was kind of like the Scythian goddess when I started doing Scythian.
Yeah, she's the proto-Scythian, isn't she?
Yeah. This is an awesome, awesome group of women.
I was very, very lucky to fall in with Cara Lutris. So tell me about this shot. So we're mimicking the griffins you can sort of see behind, sort of perching nose to nose. But Ulia was my Laurel, and I actually knew her before either of us were in the SCA.
Oh, wow.
We met online at a Roman cultural micronation called Nova Roma. She was Eulila, little Julia, and I was Vestia Camprinia because I wasn't allowed to be an Antonia or an Aurelia. But then we both discovered the SCA, and things took off from there. And we both loved Roman things, and I've known her so long, and I know the way she thinks, and she knows the way I think. And so I asked her, would you take me as a student officially? Because I had this 5-year plan, you see. So when I was princess, I noticed that some folks stepped down really well. Some folks didn't, but some folks stepped down really well. And I messaged the ones I thought stepped down really well and asked them what they did,
Right.
And almost all the responses I got, either email or Facebook or actually it was MySpace, I think. No, it was Facebook. I found a project, they said. I found something to do that gave my heirs, my successors, space to be prince and princess.
Right.
Okay, what's something I can do that people won't be looking for me to be princess in? It's like, I can do something arts because it's totally different, and it leaves the space for our heirs to be, martial and servicey and inspirationally, and this will give me something to do. I'll keep myself busy. It's I can take a little step back from attending, but still do something that I'm passionate about, and so okay. And then I saw that they were doing the Kingdom A&S. Perfect. I'll do a single entry for Kingdom A&S. I can do this whole research. It'd be great. It'll keep me out of trouble. I'll have enough time for fun shenanigans, but no time for big shenanigans, and I'll leave my heirs space. So the whole Minoan thing, I had 5-year plans, do this, and being Ulia's apprentice was step 2 in my 5-year plan.
Oh, and then we're back to
high beams. Yes, that's what we're back to high beams. So that's my interpretation of the snake goddess dress. And so the interesting thing about this dress is when I'm cutting the little apron that you can see, so I'm cutting it, and I realize the wrap skirts on Akutiri are the double-handed, the double-bladed axe.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the horns of consecration. When you turn it sideways, and that's what I have as my badge. I passed this. So the horns of consecration went on top of the Minoan palaces and temples as a little symbol across the top, or as this huge one as above the altars. And so when you look at it from the side, it's the horns of consecration. It's that shape. They're putting those religious symbols into the cut of their clothes.
Wow, that's amazing.
And so I'm sitting there cutting it, and I think I posted on Facebook, fuck me, it's the horns. I felt so stupid. I'm why didn't I see that before? Because you hadn't cut it out before.
There's something about having that tactile, visceral process that really helps discoveries along.
Yep. And it's I realized, oh my God, here's this layer of symbolism. And then I found a picture of that snake goddess from the side, which is really unusual because she's a very thin, flat statue. But you can see it over her hip too. It's the horns. They're just upside down.
Right.
They're pointed down instead of pointed up.
That's wild.
And the fringe was fun. It was just now I understand why belly dancers have those jingles and those tassels.
Right? I love you can see Gouline's pretty stuff there. Oh, there we go. We'll just stop here. So this is you fighting?
Yep. With the new shield.
Awesome. Oh,
I love fighting. It's so much fun. Honestly, I think it's I found a new gym that because my old gym isn't open, but the new gym is like half indoor, half outdoor.
oh, wow.
So they had these huge bay door opens. Like they're big enough. They're each bay door could take 2 full-size RVs just driving in. It's
Oh,
like a
that's
shop size.
fantastic.
And so there's huge bay door or half open. They've got this Mondo fans blowing, and I take my sword and shield in there and do stretches and 10 minutes of pellet work before my workout. Just doing some slow work, and they always was like, so what is that for? There's always someone new. It's like, so what are you doing? The most fun you can have sober and legally. So.
And here's Diesel in some of her beautiful work.
I know. God, I miss that woman so bad.
I do too.
I was so grateful when she said yes when I asked her to come.
Aww.
It's like, maybe could you if it wouldn't be too much of a hassle, do you think? And she's like, yeah, sure. I'm like,
Aww.
oh, that's teaching my Minoan class at Ontario West War. That was fun.
I love this picture.
So at work, one of the gals way back when, this is before 1999, so which is when my dad passed, and this painting was for his birthday. She was raffling an oil painting off for a fundraiser for an employee assistance fund, and I bought so many raffle tickets. I stuffed that box.
You wanted it.
I wanted it so bad. And then we did a photo shoot, and this is one of the pictures. This isn't the one she ended up using, but from this photo shoot. And my pilum is there balanced on top of a broomstick. That was fun. But yeah, it's my dad loved it.
Aww. So sweet. And here you are heralding.
Yes, the current prince and princess of the summit, Kenrick and Dagmar, asked me to be their herald. I am loud and proud.
Have you done that job before?
Not as a consistent job. I've been a stunt herald when people are like, "Can you help me? My voice is going." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." But I've never been the head honch, as it were.
Right. How do you like it?
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's
something I've always wanted to do, so I'm interested. What were you going to say? I'm sorry I interrupted you.
It's like it's almost as much fun as being royal because you can still hear what the hell's going on.
And you get to facilitate everything.
I know, right?
And there's your beautiful Laura medallion.
Oh, purely if you're a goddess. Yeah, I wear a lot more regalia now than I ever did before. That was at I think Tainbow. Nope, it was September Cornet because we're at the school. You can see the school behind us. And people think I'm going, come and get some, but actually I was just shaking my gauntlet into place. I know.
Is that a special cut and thrust helmet that you're wearing?
It's cut and thrust legal. It's not heavy legal, but it's the closest I could find to a Mycenaean helm because I'm slowly shifting my cut and thrust kit to a Mycenaean one because I want it.
I love this helmet. It makes me very happy every time I see it.
Yes, I call it the Copper Smurf, the Copper Attack Smurf Volunteer. It's really cool. So here I am at Ontario West doing cut and thrust, and some random Shiv, I have no idea who he is, stops me as I'm standing there outside the field. He goes, "That is a cool helmet."
Aww.
And he walks off. Thanks, sir.
Thank you so much.
Nice.
Drive-by compliments are kind of awesome, though.
I know. It was right before I had a fight with Lady Hana out of the West, where we stepped up, and she's got this beautiful, amazing high Japanese kit. It's just
Wow.
she's even painted her mask to look like one of the painted ladies with the tiny little demure mouth and the little eyes, um, and it's we in stereo, mind you. We squeal at each other. I love you, kids!
Ah.
And then we go hit each other. It was fantastic.
Oh.
Oh, Jonathan and I, yes, we were cosplaying. So we were trying to be Lita from ElfQuest. She did a much better job than I did. It's Minoan Lita from ElfQuest.
Works for me. And this was just kind of a cool close-up of your cornet, and I'd like you to talk about that.
Ah, yes. So I don't know if you've ever held the Shrinky Dinks. Yes. I don't know if you've ever held the Summit's cornets, but they are motherfucking heavy.
Yeah.
And I've heard the crowns, the Ontier crowns are even worse, but they leave a mark. No matter, unless you're wearing a big furry hat underneath it, leave a mark right here.
Ouch.
You can see, like, May crown pictures, you can see that mark across my forehead where I keep, like, shifting it back and forth. So I have, like, multiple ladder marks on my forehead. I know, it's like, there it is, the Summit Stigmatata. But I decided after I stepped down that I was never, ever, ever, ever going to have coronet forehead again, unless I won again. And I won by right of arms. So I'm not a metal worker. I'm not. I'm not a woodworker. But I can draw. And at work we were selling Shrinky Dinks. So everything on that cornet came from my employer, except the ribbon that ties around the back.
That's amazing.
So the hinges came off this little. So we have an employee store where things that are broken can be sold to employees at a discount.
Mm-hmm.
So if like, there's a package of 12 and then one of them comes back broken from a customer, or it comes in broken, well, the other 11 can be sold to employees. So I bought a bunch of those wooden boxes, cheap wooden boxes, where, like, one of the lids was torn off and there's a pocket of 12. So I just bought the whole package and disassembled the boxes. I ended up giving, like, the rest of them biomass, so it's someone's compost now, but there's just unpainted boxes. And that's where I got all the hinges from. I had seen the Thierry cornets where they have the hinge.
Yeah.
So nice. I like that. I like that a lot. And it lays flat.
And it weighs nothing.
And it weighs nothing. So this was at Sport of Kings, this last Sport of Kings. And Maria and I decided to confuse people. Very exciting. And also contribute to the Slavic Confusion Fund. So so she wore Minoan, I wore some variant of Slav, and we confused the hell out of people. It was fantastic.
I was one of the people that, like, I knew, but I kept going from one. I just kept looking at one and the other, and just like, my brain cannot process this.
So it's not Maria and Vestia, it's Varia and Mesta.
It was very confusing.
It was fantastic. We got so many double takes. It's amazing.
And you both looked fantastic in the outfits too. So that's part of what made it work, is that it was very convincing.
You have no idea how much sugar I had before that photo was taken. That's what I'm like on sugar. It's very bad for me.
And this is like world famous Vesta photo. This is the iconic Vesta photo. So awesome.
My sister said, I recognize that face. Oh, God. My sergeant brother said, I felt a frisson of terror.
More
fighting, more. Minoan.
I think we might be repeating, or I
There's
just
the
didn't do
presentation. There's the presentation. Yeah, that was.
Oh.
I just want to say this. I know this doesn't happen often, but apparently a lot of the folks in the arts community don't like competitions. I love competitions, so if you love competitions as an artist, you are okay too. I want to say that. I love them. They give me a deadline. And the best part about competitions is I have a captive audience who can't walk away. There are at least 3 people who have to sit there and listen to me from start to end. And after decades of people going and edging away carefully, that is so wonderful. They don't back away nervously. They just go, "That's so cool."
Yeah, they lean in and they're like, "Tell me more."
Right. They're like, "That's random and cool. Tell me more. I want to know more." That's so neat. So I love competitions. And I had a really, really, really helpful panel. There's like so much great feedback. Oh,
Yeah, this is quite. You've got
Madron.
yeah, thank you. And Celine
Mm-hmm.
and
That's not Godiva. It's crap.
it is, isn't it, Gaditha?
Is it? No, I thought she was the one with the.
I sorry, total brain fart. I think it is.
That's Jill Blackhorse, the back of her head.
Oh, okay, awesome.
But the feedback was amazing, and I mean, I went through each point, and I'm like, yeah, yeah.
And then didn't you and I like spend some time in the lobby afterward?
It was before.
Oh, was it before?
It was events before when I was yes, and you were like, I talked to Kalja about weaving, but I talked to you, and I specifically wanted to talk to you because you're like my role model for this. Is when you're doing research into the unknown.
I'm gonna stop sharing here because this is it. Okay.
Yes. So when you're doing research into something that's unknown in the SCA, that you're trying to, I call it catching smoke. You're trying to catch smoke out of this academic research, and then try to do some hands-on stuff, and like trying to build this bridge out into nothing made out of your own theories. It's like, what's a bridge too far? What is a good secondary resource? Not even just a resource, but where is the limit to extrapolation, or where is where are some guidelines to what's useful from a trade relationship, not just archaeological finds, but the milieu of the world around them, and you had done that. It's like, so where are my limits, and then where am I ghosting, and I really valued that conversation, because you're like, this far is good, where you're coming from is good.
Yeah.
You're making solid extract, and that was very, it was very confidence building for me, because I had never done anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, because when I was doing the Vestal Virgin research, there was tons of stuff. I mean, Sebesta had been doing stuff for decades on that. La Follette, I mean, I even had a great conversation with a gal who was doing her PhD thesis on the veils that the Vestals were wearing. So there was this tons of academic research about making the clothes. But when doing the Minoan, Jones hadn't really come to the forefront yet.
Mm-hmm. Just a book.
This book. If you want to do Minoan, get this book. This is the book. This is the book. I mean, and I disagree with her on some parts, but that's fine. We're supposed to.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
But that conversation with you was really helpful, because I didn't I didn't know what was too far, and where I was just blowing smoke up my own nostrils.
Right. Right. No, it was really helpful to me too, because you had so much enthusiasm,
I'm
you know,
enthusiastic.
and I was like, oh my God, I used to be like that. I used to I used to like pull Raven into my tent and be like, okay, I've got this weaving strip and I don't know what it is. And what do you think? And she was like, I don't know. You're looking at stuff I've never seen before. And I was like, really? This is so cool. Check this out. And it was very, I vampired off of you a little bit.
I didn't notice any energy loss.
Okay. Well, you have so much.
It's all sugar. I swear, it's all sugar. There's not even caffeine involved at this point. It's just sugar.
Just sugar.
Well, and being an ambivert, I get energy from. It's not like Inga, who's like, she spends 1 and gets 10 back. I spend 10 and get 7 back. So I enjoy socializing, but eventually I run out and it's like, I love you all, but God, you're exhausting. I need to go hide in my room.
I spend 2 and I'm like, I'm out. I need a nap now.
Which is why I so often travel to events by myself, because I'm driving home. It's like I'm in the car alone with my really weird music.
And that's great recharge time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like, get out of my way. It's just me and my lead foot. We're going.
I always drive to and from events, and especially on the way home, my whole family falls asleep. It's great.
Yes.
And on the way there, I just keep turning the radio up so I can't hear anyone else.
One of the things I've bought during this pandemic is something that will turn my phone in my very old car into a Bluetooth, connect to my speakers in my car, so that I can just like play off my phone directly. And occasionally I hit some radio station that's got the same wavelength and go,
Oh.
but hopefully it's not in the middle of some Star Trek song that I'm trying to listen to.
That's awesome. So, tell me about your laureling. You took a really long vigil.
I took it for mundane reasons.
Right.
But I needed the time to change my headspace over, and it was the weather was not exactly as we had hoped. It was a torrential downpour and mud bash. Yeah, it was Eggles, so it was damp, and then damp some more, and then really damp. It happened in Carolutris, and there was apparently really amazing food, but I didn't have much. Marion saved me some baklava, and that's what matters. My favorite dessert is baklava. If you ever need to bribe me, chocolate, no. Baklava, yes. So I should just put that out there.
Just gonna write that down.
We'll shenanigate for baklava. I will shenanigate regardless, but we'll shenanigate better for baklava. Baklava goes really, really well with scotch. I should tell you that. Really, really.
Oh, interesting. So they put on a big spread for you because they're your family.
Yes. And, Marion's a cooking laurel, so it's not like it's going to be bad.
And she's like, she lives that too. I love to follow all the canning and everything that she does.
Yes. The hosting and feeding people is her avatar. Her spiritual food is to feed people. So yeah, I go and do yard work and she pays me in pickles. It's amazing.
That's how that works.
Yes, like I shoveled compost for 6 hours, and I went home with beets and green beans and pickled garlic, and they're all mine. I have a special Marion shelf wherein all resides her pickled goodness.
Oh, that's wonderful. So did you end up receiving people and getting advice and all of that stuff?
Yes, I did. I went back and forth about being sequestered. And I decided to opt for it. If you ever need someone to be really, really strict about times on a sequester, get Ulia. The woman's amazing. 5 minutes and out you go.
Oh.
Except for their majesties and their highnesses who, like, took as long as they wanted. But Kjartan has really blue eyes. And if he ever stares at you with that meaningful way, you really notice how blue his eyes are.
That's why they call him the blue-eyed white dragon.
Because he was talking and then he went and stared at me. I'm like, I felt like Bugs Bunny in that cartoon where he's like, But yeah, it was really, I started writing stuff down, and in some ways I'm really envious of Elisif, Libby Cripps, who got her vigil online, because she can then go back and look and say, okay, they gave me that advice. Whew. Because some of that stuff I don't remember.
Yeah.
I was so tired and punchy by the end, because it was like 3 hours after my bedtime. I'm usually in bed by 8:30, okay? And I'm old. And but some of them I don't remember the advice, but I remember the feelings,
Yeah.
And
is there any like one bit that you do remember? There's two that I remember. So I'm just wondering if there's one that stuck with you. Or if it was just too blurred out.
There was one, it wasn't advice, but it was a comment by someone who is very new, who said, I didn't want to interrupt this, but I wanted to tell you, and I'm going to paraphrase this really badly, that when I started off, you listened to me. Oh. And I just wanted to say thank you. And I'm so glad they're making you appear. And it was just like, I'm glad because you're amazing. And so they're crying and I'm crying. And I mean, it's good crying, but I'm crying, and thank God I, stopped wearing mascara. But it's like, and then Uli is like, 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
The next person comes in and it's like, hi. I'm sorry, I was crying. It was a good cry. I'm sorry. You want to say something? Yeah. But there was that, and so House Honey Badger got together, and they all came in at once, and they paid Castile Armory to make me a Mycenaean sword.
Wow. And
they very quietly, but all together, gave me that at my vigil.
Aww.
And then they all told me how much they loved me. And that they were really astounded that one of the cool people wanted to be their friend. So.
Wow.
What's the vigil advice you remember?
Can I tell you this thing about the concept of cool people first?
Yes. Okay.
And then I'll come back to that. I think the concept of the cool people is really weird, because the cool people should be the people that are your crew, right? Like I wish for everyone to have people that they make a heart connection with and that they enjoy being around. And that circle should be the cool people, not somebody that you see that is shiny and, it's a weird concept to me. And I get it, I get it, but I wish people would embrace the beauty around them and embrace the glory of all of the people that they have in their lives. And if they don't have those kind of people in their lives, then get those people. So I don't know. It's a weird soapbox of mine. Sorry.
It's always interesting. I've been watching these interviews that you've been doing, and then both of you have been doing, because I really I really like this opportunity to sort of like crawl inside somebody's head for a while. And it's like, so I'm always interested in how somebody's, you know, thinking about it and looking at it and what their angle of light is. It's just, so that's very interesting.
It's been amazing. And we've ended up, you know, we started just wanting to do like On Tier Lions, and we're interviewing people from all over the place. And Sunday we're going to be adding a new show in. Duchess Dagmar from On Tier and Sir Joel, who was from Artemisia, but now he's from Callantyre, are going to do a show called Grace Under Pressure. And it's going to be interviews with lords and ladies of the Rose.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and they're going to start, I think, this Sunday with Duchess Mary Grace.
Of course.
Yeah. And so that'll be super exciting and fun to watch. Anyway, sorry. I
No, it's totally cool.
So you asked me which 2 pieces of visual advice do I remember? Raven and Ambrose came and sat with me in my yurt, and Raven wrote me a letter, which I still have. And Ambrose said to me, you are being recognized for what you've already done. And I'm paraphrasing it. If you broke yourself tomorrow and you could never do the things that you've been doing that got you here, you're still a Laurel. If a fighter can't ever fight again, they're still a knight. You have already done the thing and you don't have to prove yourself, was basically the gist of it. Mm-hmm. And even though that's one of the big pieces of advice I remember, it still took me 6 or 7 years to feel worthy of my laurel.
Oh my God, the imposter syndrome.
And I still don't feel like I do enough. So, you know, whatever. And then the other one was Thorin, Duke Thorin. He and Dagmar were crown prince and princess. And he just told me to go to meetings. Thank you, Your Grace. And I did that for a really long time. And I just, the past maybe 3 or 4 years, I've taken a little break from that. But I'm jumping back in now. So here we go.
Good.
So that's my answer.
The Bronze Agers need to stick together.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway.
Oh, I have to do this for you since you got advice from Ambrose. Good job.
I haven't spent a lot of time with him, but I recognize that.
I don't have the proper bushy eyebrows or the mustache, so I can't point all my face fur at you. But
that's awesome. That's awesome. I miss people.
I know, right? I touched elbows with somebody yesterday, on Saturday. I was so excited.
So weird.
Hi, how are you doing? It's nice to see you.
Oh, Marianne is saying your knowledge is as worthy as your youthful actions.
Aw, thanks.
Does anybody watching have any other questions for Vesta? Let's see if any come up. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome. Because probably the hardest part for me, well, no, one of the 2 hardest parts, there's another one I want to talk about a bit too, has been the imposter syndrome of not feeling like an artist. And because I see a lot of artistic people who sort of compulsively art. It's like they're arting all over the place, you know.
It gets everywhere.
Yeah, they have this craft room that's full of, you know, half-done projects. And I don't. I don't have half-done projects. If the project isn't working, I get rid of it. I don't, you know, I don't do that art and then try that art and then try that art and then try that art. Right. But for a long time that was what a laurel was, you know. And I got I had some serious problems with that, and sometimes I still do. Is like I don't art enough. I don't art enough to be a laurel.
But you research enough.
Right. And so, you know, it's like that, you know, Eulalia sent me a message. It's like, yeah, I asked her once about, you know, what's the issue with dressing up after you're a laurel? And she's like, oh God, I'm not that kind of laurel. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm not that either, because I'm not going to wear my fancies. You know, I'm wearing earrings right now, and that's a concession. Okay. They were a present. They're laurel wreaths. I have to wear them.
I like to dress other people up. I was a court baroness for almost 10 years before I made this for myself. Right?
All the jingly splendor that it is, yes.
So I feel that. And I think I went into kind of a paralysis, and I stopped sewing for myself because it was so much pressure to be a laurel and to look like I was a laurel that I just went, I'm gonna dress the king and queen and make some cool stuff for other people, and that's all I can do.
Right.
So I get that. What was your second thing?
And this is going to sound really horrible, I'm sure, but I think I was laureled probably about 2 years too early. Now, and I saw Caitlin's interview where she was like, I was laureled really young, but and I can't judge my skill or my research. You know, that's I can't judge my own. But in terms of community, I didn't know my community, my arts community, enough.
Oh, interesting.
So, like, if a heavy fighter comes to me and says, I really want to learn polearm, I go, okay, where do you live? And they, you know, they tell me, you know, I live around the, you know, the Sound, or I live up in Adiantum, whatever. I'm like, okay, I can at least name 2 people in that area who could teach you basics in polearm, if not, you know, finesse in polearm.
Right.
Okay. You know, I want to do a heater because I can't, you know, my hand means I can't grip a center grip. It's like, okay, I know, you know, if you're up there, if you talk to Rifkin, she uses a heater. You know, down here, talk to anyway, talk to Kalen, he uses a heater. I'm a lefty. I can think of people in the fighting community to direct students to, or for specifics, but I don't know the arts community enough yet. I'm starting to, but I've been spending this last year going, who the hell does what? You know, I don't have that knowledge base of my community. You know, I had someone ask me about music, and I'm like, oh God, who the fuck does music in this kingdom? I don't know. It's like, oh, Leith does music. I know who Leith is. Okay, is there anybody else?
Oh, down in your area, Galeron.
He was out of country at the time.
Out of the country.
But so it's for that reason. I think I should have had 2 more years of getting my community knowledge base.
Marion is saying that's on the job training, dear. but I have to say, I
Your
hear
Excellency.
that. Oh, I hear that, and that's totally valid. And I've been a laurel for 16 years now, and I honestly probably wouldn't recognize half of the laurels made in the last 5 or 6 years. And yeah, so that is not something, that is why you have your community. It's why you have access online to your community, because you can get on the laurels list and say, hey, I've got so-and-so blah, 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 who's interested in blah. Where are my people at? And somebody should respond to you or suggest somebody. Right. And if you don't get that on your summits or kingdom list, you can go to the SCA laurels list and hopefully get a response. So, but that's I think that's a common thing to not know when you get laureled.
Hmm.
And I also totally believe that when you get recognized as a laurel, you need to be a part of that community. You need to have connections. You need to have support. I think that's a huge part. And I'm sorry if you feel like you didn't quite.
I felt that they knew me, but I didn't know them. And the thing about the SCA is we tend to recognize people who are articulate, sociable, and networked. All of other things being equal before people who are not.
Right. It's the
You know,
shiny factor.
it's the I saw you, I talked to you, I know who you are, I know what you're doing, and the shy and the less articulate, the people who are poor communicators, even though they're doing amazing stuff, even though they may be able to teach, but they can't talk to people about it. We tend to recognize them later. And so, I mean, I did competitive speech. I've been a writer for 10 years. I was princess of the summits. I'm a fighter. I mean, I had a lot of marketing advantages. I'm very cognizant of it.
And it's true. It's true. That's, everybody has their own path. And for some people, figuring out how to get that PR part down is a huge part of their path. and I think that's part of why it's important to have some sort of mentor to help you navigate that, because you don't have to be able to write. You don't have to, have a master's degree or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a great communicator, but you do need to find a way to present what you know, and to demonstrate your craft and the knowledge that backs it up.
And sometimes all it takes is an outside set of eyeballs going, have you considered maybe doing the instead?
Right. And an outside set of eyeballs that knows the system, because it's a system.
Yeah.
And even a great artist whose craftsmanship is amazing, who does amazing research, if they don't know the system that the SCA is,
they're gonna miss out.
Yeah, they can't be a successful part of the system, because that's what being a peer is all about.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I look at it.
I mean, that might be a little too philosophic for this late in the night. Oh my God, it's only 7:30. Oh my God.
Do you have anything else?
So if anybody has like a spare couple $100, if you could buy me this book, I would really, really be grateful. Because I can't find it anywhere. It's not for sale anywhere. So if you want to steal it from a library from me, I would totally take it, but not officially, of course.
Or if anybody finds it at a used bookstore somewhere.
Oh God, yes, please.
Keep your eyes out.
Tutankhamun's wardrobe. It's amazing. It'll teach you all sorts of things about Bronze Age clothing that you never knew. I love that book.
I'm gonna have
photocopied every single page. I'm not sure how much money it cost my employer, but
whoopsie, that's online now forever.
It was years ago, years and years and years and years and years ago.
You're worth it.
Miss Clara. Oh.
Can you hold up your beautiful medallion that Fiore Leaf made so that we can all take a close look at it?
Rather than giving you a view of my cleavage.
Wow.
I know. And the beads are Phelan beads. So I not only have Fiore Leaf's handiwork, I have Phelan's. Do you know how hard I have lusted after Phelan's beads for so many years? Oh my God. And Fiore Leaf's work, I can't afford Fiore Leaf on my own.
And she is worth every penny.
Oh, hells yes.
We love her. All right, so I usually do sort of a final four at the end.
Okay.
If money were no object and you could buy any sort of tool, well, I'm going to tailor it a little bit for you. If you could have any helmet ever made for you, what would you do?
Oh. That's one of the questions Rivkin usually asks the Dukes. I feel honored.
I know.
Ooh, I'm getting shivers. Gosh. I don't know if I would get a replacement helmet so much as I would get different body armor. Because I really like my 2 helmets. But I think I would probably get a set of shovel greaves because they would work for both the Mycenaean as well as the Roman. I totally want shovel greaves. They're sexy.
Awesome. Would you change your body armor?
Well, I'm currently putting together a Bronze Age lamellar kit for the Mycenaean for cut and thrust. So I don't have to worry about having a thick gambeson from hell underneath it.
Yeah.
But it's totally amazing. So there's this group in, I think it's like 3 guys over in Greece who do Homeric age armor reconstruction. And so I was inspired by that. But there's also a guy from he's Maryland, Matt Amt. So anyway, he's one of the Roman reenactors, like hardcore, and he did a recreation of the Dendra panoply, but he also did these lamellar based on Homeric finds of this very thin center fluted lamellar mounted the top plates, and so that's what I'm working on right now.
Wow, that sounds super yummy. Okay, again, if money were no object, what destination would you go to further your research?
So hopefully next year I'll hit that, because 2021, if all goes well, I'm going on a cruise with Mistress Melisande Dufresne, and we're gonna hit Rome, and then we're gonna go to Crete, and then we're gonna go to Athens. I'm gonna spend all day in the Heraclian Museum, and I don't care. It's like, and we're both gonna wear Minoan because it's gonna make people stare. And if it's not too hot and miserable, because we're going in like October, November, so we it should be temperate enough that I can wear the wig too and have people go, "Can I have my picture with you?" Sure. How much do you charge? Nothing. It's free. So they won't have to clear me out like the gladiators around the Colosseum.
Awesome. 2 more. Mm-hmm. If you could change anything about the SCA, what would it be? It's a big one.
It is. Gosh, I don't know. That's not a question I can answer on the top of my head. That's not one I thought about either.
No worries. Now you're going to be thinking about it.
I'll like wake up at 2 a.m. going, "Ashaksi!"
Sorry. I'm in your head. Okay, last one. What do you see going on in the epidemic in the SCA that you would like carried over into back when we can see each other again, SCA?
I think the electronic meetings and sharing and the classes, because it's helping the folks who can't go to events, whether it's physical or financial, but they're still connected, they're still participating, they're still part, and that's going to be terribly lost. Which is why I'm really advocating the idea of the Order of St. Clair. So my theory is, I found out years and years ago that St. Clair of Assisi is the patron saint of television, because she used to have visions of places far away. And I used to collect odd trivia about saints. It went along with my lace collection. I was an odd child. And I thought, for all this telework that people are doing, there should be a specific, and then because that it will be an impetus afterwards for people to continue to doing this, because I know, we shouldn't do this for the awards, but if there's an award, then there can be a recognition for it, which means that people will go, oh, I could recommend somebody for it. And if somebody's awarded for it, then people remember that it's a thing. And then with the awards given out, people go, oh, that's a thing I could do. Even if I'm stuck home and I can't leave, I can still do this and be part. There's even an award for it.
It makes it more accessible.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. Order of St. Clair. and the token should be bunny ears, rabbit ears.
Nice.
I thought this whole thing through, you see.
You have a plan. Have you written up a proposal and sent it to the Crown?
No, I'm just hoping to do it like secondhand.
Have someone else, just have the idea and have someone else make it happen.
If their majesties or some herald somewhere thinks that, they can probably get it through easier than me. I'm just saying. I don't need recognition for it. I just,
I'm just gonna plant the seed and step back and watch it happen.
See, it's that hands-off thing I learned as a royal.
Very, very smart of you.
Inspire people.
Do you have any parting words for us this evening?
There was something I wanted to make. What was it? Crap. I should have taken notes. So see, I looked at all those other things, and you asked this question, then you didn't ask me, and I was all grumpy. If you could do anything, learn any skill, money was no object. See, I thought about that one. I had an answer for that one.
Oh, okay. So I asked the helmet question instead of that one.
Right.
So please answer that question for me.
If money were no object, I would pull a steer car. I would learn a language, go to an obscure place and learn an obscure skill. And that would be, I would learn Italian, go to Sardinia and learn to weave sea silk.
Oh my gosh.
That would be the thing that I would do if money and time were no object.
That would be amazing.
There are 2 women, elderly women, who teach how to weave sea silk in Sardinia. And that is the thing that I would do.
I love that so much. I think I would want to tag along with you. I want to do all the things.
I'd be like, oh, so Isolde of Adiantum is an evil woman, because I'm off of Facebook for 2 months, okay? Because I was doom scrolling. And so what does she do? She emails me and tells me, did you know that Oxbow Books is having a sale? And did you know they have a number of Minoan titles? And I'm like, Isolde, you sadist. So I found, where is it? It's in here someplace. It's an amazing book. This.
Oh, wow.
You notice I've started flagging things? Yes, that's what happens to my books. They get all these little flags on the side.
So I'm
But
writing.
yeah, there's interesting stuff about purple dye. That's interesting. But there's one very small chapter in here by the women who weave sea silk in Sardinia.
So that's where that came from.
Well, I knew about the one, the one the BBC had that documentary about.
Mm-hmm.
But this is 2 other people.
Oh, wow.
So technically there's 3 of them. One harvests, but they had a collection of, sea silk that they weave and teach from. So maybe I would talk to all 3 of the women. But I'd have to learn Italian. So I call it pulling a steer car. You go learn a language, do the thing.
Yeah, he is pretty crafty the way he did that.
I know, right? Can I get a sabbatical like that? That would be amazing. So I did want to say I have 2 amazing students. I know, right? I'm so happy. I'm so excited. So I have Luna Francesca. She's an Arianton, and she does Italian, and she's making these fabulous, how do you pronounce it? Zippilies? Those little furs with the gilded heads and the gilded paws.
Oh, how cool.
No, she's making them. They're so cool. And so I'm like, oh, make another one.
Are they metal? Is she doing like?
She's starting with clay.
Okay.
So I'm like, hey, my employer has this really cool air dry clay. Try that. Take pictures. I want to see. And then Andromache, who does amazing bardic stuff. And so I'm so very proud of them both.
Oh, I'm excited. I didn't know she was your student. She's pretty awesome.
I know, right?
She's one of my lady heroes. I crush really hard on women that are just like, ugh. And she's pretty cool. Awesome. She said that she was on for earlier, and she said she's going to watch this later, so she'll be seeing this.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of doom scrolling and prepping for fires. And
I know, right? I gotta go back and check my Facebook and see if anyone's coming to use my spare room.
Oh, things are so weird right now. And thank you everyone for watching. Tomorrow, my sister and I are interviewing Alfred, who is a lion, pelican, laurel Count of Antir, Jarl of Antir. He's one of the founding members of Antir. He was my husband's knight, and he was also the mastermind behind Sport of Kings. So if you enjoy fighting Disneyland, it's his fault. So you should come and watch him talk about that.
He is also one of the best fighting teachers I have ever encountered, because he speaks multiple teaching languages and not everybody does.
True. And he's an amazing woodworker, and he's just a wonderful guy. So that's tomorrow. And then again on Sunday, Duchess Dagmar and Sir Joel are going to be starting a new show, Grace Under Pressure. I just totally blanked out. And I should be putting up a flyer for that probably tomorrow.
Ooh,
so,
nice.
Thank you so much for your time
and asking me.
Your openness, and I miss you.
I miss you too.
And thank you.
Bumps.
Yay! And thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Good night.
Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, pretty lady.